Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Pillars of Eternity, where last time we were going to speak to Bishop, see if he has anything interesting he wants to say. The man behind the bar is nearly the size of Amwa. A hand production produces from his back, and his face is set in a stoic frown. He gives you a small nod. Here for a drink? No, I'm here for a room. Okay, let's see what you have. Dexterity, survival, defense when disengaging. Okay. We can hire a new adventurer if you guys want me to hire anyone special. Level 6 is the max right now. Gerald's level. Precision, resolve, intellect, lore. Should I start with this one? It sounds like a good idea. Merchant stay. Worldly woman wonders. Athletic, mechanics. Oh yeah, this one's mine. Fletcher's stay. Nice, eh? Okay. We still don't have a priest for ourselves. Okay, Move here. Let's switch that core a little bit. Yeah, that one looks better. Move out. Sillies. Any weapon, shield, or suit of armor can be enchanted by clicking the enchant button from its description page. Okay. We wanted that steel dagger to give to Gordy. I don't know why I memorized that name, Gordy. I don't know any Gordys. Hey, look, it's dark. Sweet. Okay. Biography, visions. You've seen visions of another time and place. You are walking in a grand chamber towards a giant machine and a man standing in front of it. You wanted to ask him something, but what is wasn't clear. Interesting. Oh, we have encyclopedia there. That's cool. Okay. He said he'd show it for me if I get him a March Steel Dagger. So, which merchant does have the dagger? Let's see the weapons merchant here. Yo, Irgum. You have a dagger for me? Looking for a particular dagger made of March steel. Just like Sir Paul Nice used. Let me guess, you've been talking to that kid, right? I endeavored to sell it to you anyway, and let the little rascal learn his lesson, but Peak of Adventurers already took it off my hand. So where are those adventurers now? Folks like that only visit Copperland to crew up at Admon's Den Expedition Hall, or down Pine the Goose and Fox, and since they weren't headed into the den, well, you've got my best guess. Yeah, I could have guessed that, but whatever. So tell me more about this dagger thing. Made out of high purity iron ore that comes out of the White March Mountains. Traditionally, the smiths in Crucible Keep have smelted it into daggers and swords, which they only give in Knights of the Circle. Crucible, whatever. Of course, I'd be surprised if that kid didn't already tell you all of this. If March Steel daggers only given to okay, Crucible Knights, how did you get our hands on one? A lot of steel passes throughout my hands, friend. I don't make it my business to ask where it all comes from. Fair enough. Okay, if you give me a small discount to your store, the Crucible Knights don't need to know where it came from, either. fine 5% to avoid the hassle. Last thing I need is shakedowns from them. What with my stove being so close to admin's 10 and the dozens. Anything else? So let's see what you have. That's a war ball. I want to purchase this for Gerald. The woman can't dealt with what in aspect, hunting games, surviving, stuff. Yeah, I don't have the money for that thing. Oh, we guess we need to find something and take it from someone's cold dead hands. Just because you have great equipment doesn't mean that you're great. Okay, everyone, let's move in. Okay, when an attack scores a hit, it does standard damage and has a standard duration. A gaze reduces damage duration by 15%, and crit increases it by 50%. The folks like the kind of place we could find allies. Okay, but first let's steal a little bit, shall we? 3 books. Gonna read them later, if I don't already know their stories actually. Book of the Hunt. Okay, let's start. When my students ask me to taught the way of Gawain, I tell them they have already failed. Does one ask a deer to present itself as dinner? Of course not. One must outwit, outmaneuver and power the deer. Well, powering a deer isn't that big of a deal, if one dreams to venture. So, it is with the seeker the god to ask a question. His weakness and ally indecision to seek answers is to understand, and to become one with Gawain's survival brings with straight from within. But I only strike my students when they ask the second stupid question, for all us began young, weak. It is a point fact, and no one of shame and the central element of Gawain's teachings. Perseverance and cleverness are prizes by Gawain above brute force. A fact my young pups often forget. It is right and proper that she strong lead the weak, and it's equally proper that the strong can be continuously tensed until the balance changes. Gawain celebrates the trait of victor and powerless of the well-fed predator. Okay? But above all, the clever hound celebrates the transformative nature of straight. Gawain's greatest desire for us is that the prey becomes predator. Meanwhile, babes grow into strong hunters, and the lost find their own enlightenment. This philosophy is best exemplified by the rise of the Anafath of Earl Galvath. Oh my lord, those words. When one of the Galvath spiritual leaders is old and nearing death, it is customary to enter and wood and confront Gawain's herald, and secret god finds and unmasks life deeds, and so worthy. The reward is quick death, and his soul joins Gawain's peak. If deemed unworthy, the Mahvat is killed, his soul forced to find its own way to the next life, and his memories erased from the records of the tribe. That actually sounds kind of familiar. Survival begins with straight from within, and weak leaders endanger the whole pack. This is Gawain's at his purest. Even at the end of life one must struggle for worthiness or for greatness, just as one must struggle every day to feed his pack. That's a lot of damage I can do with that accuracy. The secret god is easy to understand if one actually engages in quests of knowledges, but his secrets are self-concluded to those who merely ask, desiring knowledge without the requested hunt. My own flesh and blood once asked me, "We will learn to hunt, please, Gawain." I told him yes, but added Gawain would prefer that you hunt. Okay, to learn. Hunt to learn, that's cool. Expects from Sermon of Struggle. Choices is a luxury we earn throughout peace. Struggle is our fundamental nature. Even when our war banner sits idle, mankind foments strife, friends argue with fists, lovers kindle jealously, merchants complete with lies. Whenever mankind goes, struggle follows. Magran is goddess of fire and war, not bloodshed and conquest. To many of Redcrest would tell it differently how bitter they must be that Magran's priests were able to destroy a god made manifest. How bitter indeed! We who worship Magran are not adult barbarians or cloistered mystics. We are soldiers, armors, watchmen, and bodyguards. Artisans of conflicts and protectors of our families and flags. We do not alive for battle. We view war as unwelcome, but struggle is our fundamental nature. We do not pray for strife. We pray for the wisdom to resolve it quickly. We do not wish for war, but when it invulnerably must be fought, we find divine ecstasy in discipline, effectively and excellence. Nice. Magran guide us to the battle, and it is just and fair. Let us be your fire that burns away the profane, leaving only the righteous. If struggle is our fundamental nature, let victory be our inevitable state of grace. Cool. Okay. One more book. The Dozens. Oh, okay, we'll learn what about the Dozens. It's going to take a little bit longer than I thought. Scarcely a decade ago, one of the Evondor Brigade, 7 men and 5 women, fought valiantly to protect their homeland. They volunteered for a mission, knowing it was up to them, and them alone, to prevent Saint Weldwin from crossing the bridge. Nice. They succeeded, even though they lost all but 4 of their numbers in the battle, and Weldwin was on the bridge when the Godhammer detonated. Nice. The final 4 were lost in the blast as well. Their sacrifice, a testament to their dedication. The Dozens, a group of Aslanli formed for the protection of Direwood, was founded in the honor of those men and women. Indeed, those 12 men and women were posthumously regarded by the Dozens as their true founders. Initially, the group dedicated itself to protecting Direwood from invasion, patrolling the borders, tirelessly in search of Red Crean forces, regrouping for another attack. When the attack never materialized, many of the Dozens thought the next threat might come from Elson lawless living in Direwood, and began to turn their attention within. All new members of the Dozens were required to swear an oath to remember the sacrifice of their founders, and remain vigilant against Redcrest and any followers of Eothas. To this and worshippers of Eothas are roughly harnessed by the Dozens. The mindest of this group may be heard for some to understand, as any fanatical devotion can sometimes overthrow the ideals, but the original Dozen knowingly sacrificed their lives for Direwood. From the Dozen's perspective, how can new members of the Dozens be any less committed to their country's welfare? What better way could there be to honor their founders? The Dozens are not a large group, but what they lack in size they made up in a fervent devotion to their cause and a gift for gaining the ear to commandments. This makes them a force to be reckoned with, and there is no more influential group in sharpened discourse surrounding Weldwin's legacy. A small but very vocal minority of extremists in the group are calling for the new war with Redcrest. Talk of purges and the Direwood of all followers of Eothas is also being tortured. Interesting. More recently, they have begun to see the practice of anamancy a possible cause of legacy, and they have taken to the streets of Defiance Bay and the dirt roads of many distant settlements to make their case and to the general public. Some points to this as one source of the recent scourge and vigilation of violence in the country. Nice. Okay. Now we know the story about the Dozens, and I should say it's pretty cool. Oh. Cutscene. A group of men steps toward the hall with confident swagger, smug, crane act on his face. He flanked by 5 other hard-looking individuals. Okay. One of his companions eyes you for a moment before spitting chill at your feet. Another pup come wandering in. I see, just know that Brian's country run things around here and you'll be fine. Never heard of him. You have now. Stick around the Fast Bay and you will gain plenty of bounties to go around. There's a reason the captain get the lion's share, remember that. Available across the hall. Enough jabber, Breen. You gonna do a job or talk about it? When it's right, that coin ain't going to collect itself. See you around, pup. Speaking with my feet is usually a very wrong move. People get to die when they do stuff like that. Keep up your guard or I'll give you something to guard, damn it. That stance is gonna get you killed. Have you ever held a weapon before? Aren't you here to train them to hold a weapon? This man watches the training adventurers with a dissented contempt of someone whose skills are vested in this setting. He barks at one of them. For the last time, Edwig, keep your fucking blade up. If that dummy was armed, it'd have your head off. I need to hire an adventurer. Maybe more than one, by the look of you. I'll show you who's available. I'm looking for work. You want an expedition? Talk to Warren. I just cannot these mercenary fools, shovelers. Okay? Clears his throat and background, as also exmounts Buckle's adventurers, I mean. Ooh, although I do have something I need done, something that requires competence. Speak. I was formerly one of the Knights of Crucible. When I left, they kept my arms and armor. The arms they can have, but the armor belonged to my family. I'd like it back. What is this armor? It's a breastplate, not much to look at, and it's seen far too much use, but it's been in my family since liberation. Doesn't sound like the leaving the Crucible Knights was your choice. You don't choose to leave the Crucible Knights. They may not be real knighthood, but the oaths you swear are just as true. Nice. So they're like, I don't know, fanatics? Still, turns out that even unofficial king knighthood have politics. You cross the wrong man, suddenly all kinds of accusations are thrown at your way, and nobody believes you. Nothing more than destructive than a crowd with the wrong idea. I'll see what I can do. It's a Pelhelm you're looking for, a low snake of man. If he was to die choking on his own back thong, it'd be too kind of a fate. He kept it when he had me kicked out. I got word from a reliable source that Pelhelm visited a forger in Oran's Gift right after leaving his soul lingering red by a cipher's torrent roll. Should you have it in your heart to find a way to ruin his life while you were there, well, drinks on me. It's required to join the Knights. They have no ensure novelists, doesn't have a substantial lineage. If any of his superiors have found out the effectiveness was a fake, his career would be over. Every novelist gets an affiliative, whatever, from Diamond Roll, and those are stored in Crucible Keep. If you find first one of those ciphers, could tell you if it's a real. What about the expedition hall? It's treasure hunting plain and simple. Spawning pot of honey and hire adventurers to explore a wilds, looking for ruins, mostly if they come back alive. they spit out the spoils. If not, it becomes they handle their weapons like this lot in front of me, who might as well be digging their own graves right now. Cool. No. It's a hunting bow. Karen, did we read their stories? I don't think we did. Okay, let's actually see. I might be mistaken. 3 human boys walking through the city street, pushing each other, joking with one another. They stop one of them, pointing down the road, look at each other. This Orlan, though younger and smaller in target of their attention, she has a handful of coins she passes from her hand to hand, and is moving towards the marketplace. The boys move quickly, working their way around her throughout the crowd until they form a line in front of her, hurrying her into the shadowy corner, away from the main thoroughfare. The boys taunt her, accusing her of stealing the coin, talking over her protests of innocence. They threaten her, telling her they'll turn her over to the city watch for thievery if doesn't give them the coins because they can help her at least three unfortunate thieves with the money. And that's when I threw my dagger up and killed them all. One of the boys wishes for the coin, but she pulls her hand back, her cuffs and sides of her head, and grabs her hand. Okay. Forcing it to open, letting the coins drop into the plane. The boys laugh, thanking her for her service, and disappear into a crowd. Jordan looks around, tears welling in her eyes. She spies a member of the watch and runs over, telling him that she was just robbed. The guard isn't moved, informing her that if he helps, she was just going to let it happen again next time. She protests, telling him that it's his job to help, but the guard isn't moved and unmoving. She stares at him for quite some time, fury burning behind her small eyes. Without saying another word, she turns and storms off, her face set with resolution. And that's why she's now here. Nice. Okay, as you near, okay, let's see. You see this Orland occasionally making his way down the dark stone corridor. His eyes are wide and he is constantly looking over his shoulder. If one noise making him jump, he appears dressed for adventuring, but his armor is ill-fitting and his pack refuses to stay on his back. Another sound reaches his ear from behind him and he spins around, peering into the darkness, trying to discern the source of the noise. He stands there for a few seconds, holding his breath, staring. When nothing happens, he lets out a relieved sigh and turns to continue his walking. His pack slips from the shoulder, and cooking implements trouble out, sending a rattling them down his quiet hall. He freezes, listening in the dumb, silent aftermath of the accident. Booming footsteps reach his ear from behind. He lets out a little squeal and runs away from the approaching creature, clattering throughout his spilled gear. The footsteps speed up, and he approaches creature. And the Orlan squirrels again, hurrying down the hall. There's Gutlin Gallo close behind him, and he turns to see an ogre emerge from the darkness behind him. Okay. The squirrels become a yell, and he puts his head down and barks into run. Interesting. The ogre steps on spilled gear and lets out a bellow of pain, breaking sight and looking down at its foot, and as it continues to hop forward. Okay. Panicked, the Orlan hits the tripwire pulled across the corridor without even noticing it there. It knocks his feet out from underneath him, and he tumbles onto the floor, rolling a bit before ending up on the back. He lifts his head slightly and looks down the hall. The ogre has regained his stature and is running at him, hand out, intent on grabbing him. Both the Orlan and the ogre are unaware of the battle axe swinging deadly arc throughout the air, accidentally tripped by the Orlan. The axe buries itself in the ogre's face, stopping in its tackling hand. Expanded blood making a trail down his face, ripping to the floor. The Orlan stares wide-eyed as the ogre goes limp, its weight slowly pulling it off the axe with a wet sucking sound. It comes loose and falls, eliciting a final squeal from the Orlan, who scoot backwards to avoid getting squashed by the falling ogre's head. After a few moments processing what just happened, the Orlan quickly scrambles over the ogre's body and runs down the hall towards the exit. Cool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to speak to Wenan next time. So, until then, goodbye.